Okay, it's saying this hangout is live on air. So if anybody is watching, please pop up on the chat. So good evening. Welcome to tonight's IBD Ostomy Support Show. I'm Louise, aka Crohn's Fighting. Tonight we are talking about IBD as a whole, but we are talking about not so much more about the newly diagnosed, but more of the prognosis as you get a bit further into the illness, because there's different things that happen and you get different symptoms that don't always present the same as they do in the early days. So what have I been up to this week? Okay, I've killed myself in the gym. Three days on the trot, 6:20 in the morning. I managed to do Uncle Albert from Only Fools and Horses out the side of the shower yesterday morning. Nearly took my radiator off of the bathroom wall, and I have a rather cracking bruise on my right butt cheek, up my back and on my elbow. So general concept for that, traction bikes are evil. And so's leg day. Don't have a shower without a safety mat in it. What else have I been up to? So I've got some exciting new things to come in the pipeline. You'll find out more about that over the next couple of months. Just a quick one. If you have seen my Instagram, my Facebook today, Pelican with the vitamin E bags, when they released the bag, they hadn't updated the outlet, but it has now been updated. So instead of it being like a creamy colour, it's grey and it's a bit more sturdier and solid. So it's easier to open, to empty. So, well, hey. And that's about it really for me. So we'll say hi to Steve and Rachel if they are watching from the hotel in Copenhagen, Denmark. Hi. They're not with us this week because they are doing a presentation tomorrow. Natalie will be back with us at the beginning of June. And we have Sahara on tonight from IBD Superheros, and we also have Fiona from Winnie and Fee. And we have James, who is part of the IBD Runners and Cycle group. And obviously we have the lovely Steffi. So I will hand you over to Steffi now.
Hi, I'm Steffi from Colitis Ostomy. What have I done this week? Well, I embarrassed myself, or I feel like I embarrassed myself doing a radio show. I probably didn't embarrass myself, but when you have anxiety, you always think that what you say, like what comes out of your mouth, is the most stupid thing possible, and that's what I felt like on Tuesday. I really struggled. I think I rang Rachel pretty much straight after and if I wasn't in the middle of Primark, I would have cried, because I really struggled with anxiety and how I came across. I had a picnic in the park with the kids today because Jacob's just decided he wants to sit up rather than being stiff as a board. Tomorrow I am doing a pottery painting thing. It's like an adult night. And if my friend wasn't driving, I would have been drinking with her. But I don't think it's fair, drinking and not her drinking. I'm not going to the pub tonight. I went to the pub on Sunday. That's about it, I think. So I'm going to pass you over to Sahara.
Hi. What have I done this week? My week's all blended together. If I'm not at work, I am at home, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, stalking people that have got inflammatory bowel disease and trying to make them talk to me. I actually booked Thursday and Friday off this week so that I could have 5 days off, including Bank Holiday Monday. Because I felt particularly ill last week. I think I got infections, UTI, everything that was knocking me out of it. So I made the executive decision to book some time off to rest and recuperate. So I slept till 12 p.m. today, and the rest of the day has been spent with these. That's it. That's as interesting as my life has been.
So, what about Fiona?
Well, I've literally just been thinking, what have I done this week? So what have I done? I've mainly been working, to be honest. Grooming dogs. That's my job. I haven't actually been feeling that great, I'll be honest. Really, really bad fatigue at the minute. I'm absolutely shattered. Like, even sort of between dogs, I'll have a nap. And my own dogs have I've struggled to get them out. So fatigue has been quite bad this week. But I think I know.
That's what James is there for.
Hey?
That's what James is there for, to walk your dogs, because your dogs love him.
He's the same though. If I go to bed, he's in bed as well.
I get more pictures of James sleeping with Harvey than we do of anything else.
Oh God! Oh, it was Harvey's 10th birthday. When was that?
Yesterday.
No, the 1st.
Hmm?
When Tuesday? You turned 10. My little therapy dog. Yeah. So we actually bought him a beer today. It was called Bottom Sniffer.
I saw that. For those of you that are interested, Harvey and Cleo do have their own Instagram account, and the adventures of Harvey and Cleo.
They get up to all sorts. Oh God, check out the latest one. It's the Adventures of Harvey and Cleo on Instagram. James has put up a corker today, so yeah, have a look. Sorry, I was saying about fatigue. It's been mental, but I think it's because I know I've got a break coming up. So yeah, we're going away for a couple of weeks to the sun. So I think my body and brain know that it's coming up, and it wants to give up. So I so need a break.
So are you two flying out Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Where are you going?
Tenerife. My parents have got an apartment out there, so it's a nice, cheap sunshine holiday, which we both need. It's been stressful, to say the least. I think we're both feeling it, to be honest. You as well. James is always tired. I've never known someone to sleep so much. I thought I was bad.
So that means you two haven't been training as well for our 3-peak challenge.
Yeah, we have.
I'm going to wing it.
Oh, what? The 3 peaks?
I am going to wing it.
Do not wing it. You will kill yourself if you wing it.
It's only a marathon. It's only the length of a marathon. Just under.
You're all making me want to go to bed right now.
But this is coming from the two that sleep more than anything else because of the fatigue. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to wing the 3 peaks challenge.
Yeah, well, Fiona wanted to do the national 3. I was like, I'm not doing that one. I'll just do the Yorkshire 3.
Yeah,
we'll then it's just a day and it's done.
Yeah, we'll do that. But I do want to do the national 3 peaks. But yeah, so we've got so we're training. We're training for the Yorkshire 3 peaks, and we train getting out with the dogs. We walk the dogs every day, so I think we can do it.
I've done in the past. I did a 38-mile walk for charity.
Yeah, James,
but that
you did
hurt.
Where did you do from?
I walked from Salisbury to Basingstoke.
Yeah.
Through the night.
And you didn't train for that, did you?
Minimal training. But I did end up on crutches.
I still can't believe our team's called the Ascenders, and Cheetah was like, "Oh yeah, ass enders."
Yeah.
Cheetah for you.
So
I didn't actually pick up on it, to be fair, so that was quite funny. I was like, oh yeah.
So just to throw a random one out there for you, because obviously with this all being IBD based this evening, what's the best miracle cure each of you have ever been offered? Which miracle cure have you
don't get Sahara started on that one.
Oh no, this is why I'm doing it.
I don't know if there isn't the best. The best. They're all pretty much on a level. We don't want juice plus, we don't want aloe vera, we don't want the greens, and we don't want any green bananas.
This is the best miracle cure.
Yeah, I'm all out of Kraken this evening. I've got my tea.
Captain Morgan's put me in remission since 2016.
I've just been introduced to Parma Violet gin, and that is delightful.
Oh, that looks
especially
good.
if you don't like gin, Parma Violet gin is delightful. and I don't like
I
gin.
hate gin, but I love Parma Violet, so that might be something
I
that.
like gin, but I hate
Try
Parma.
it. Oh, with loads of berries in. You don't have to eat the berries, but stick loads of berries in and ice and lemonade. Bang on.
Fruity cocktail.
She's like that.
Yeah, there's a good gin bar in Bath. I'll tell you, it's really good.
Well, it's like you were saying about the when Sahara said about the aloe vera. So for those of you predominantly with any form of IBD, if you're in flare and you use aloe vera, it's a diuretic. It actually makes the diarrhea worse. Doesn't make it better, it makes it worse. So you think you're going a lot just with the normal symptoms. Have a couple of shots of aloe vera and see how many times you can go in an hour then, because it's not pleasant.
Oh my God, the amount of people that have approached me with that, going, oh, it will cure your colitis, and and I'm thinking, you have no idea. I've had colitis for nearly 15 years. I think I know that aloe vera juice is not going to be the miracle cure. Jesus.
Well, my recent one was only 1 or 2 days ago. I was more irritated because the woman that approached me had actually got inflammatory bowel disease herself and a colostomy bag. So she was telling me how it had helped her so much, which it's a lie or it was a miracle. So I am more irritated by the fact that I only accepted her friend request in the first place, thinking that she might be looking for someone to talk to and need the support. So you do that because you're a nice person, and then they try and sell you shit.
I think he agrees. I think to be brutally honest, if you're in a flare with any form of IBD, the only thing that is going to help you at that time are drugs.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think there are certain diet changes, depending on what your symptoms are and what's causing your issues, that can help. Like I know if I'm stritching, I've got a twist that I'm pretty sure it tightens and then untwists slightly itself, all by itself. Because certain times when it'll hurt a lot more than others. But I know that if I'm eating insoluble fibre, that's going to hurt me. So at that point, then I'm obviously going to try and skip the insoluble fibre as much as I can. But the woman that messaged me the other day, she was going on the basis that it was going to help me nutritionally if I was malnourished and stuff. But we have drinks to do that. That's what our healthcare team are for. Wow, dogs everywhere. Which is what I replied to her saying, like, if I need that, I'll approach my healthcare team for supplements and stuff. I'm not going to pay you 60 quid.
But I think people need to stop touting stuff as a cure, because you can't. There's very few diseases you can actually cure. That's why it's a disease, not an illness.
Mm-hmm.
But if you turned around and said it will alleviate X, Y, Z symptom, that's more believable.
Yeah.
One of the nurses off my surgical ward has known me, oh my God, probably since we were like 10, 11. And she suggested aloe vera for rehydration. She didn't want to say, she's a nurse. She's not stupid. She's not going to turn around and go, oh yeah, it's a cure, because she works on a surgical ward. She knows it's not a cure, but she was like, she was offering it to me to help with just my hydration issues, because I've been in and out for with dehydration and stuff. And I don't mind someone turning around and saying that to me, going, this may help this symptom, not like everything or a cure, but it might help this bit.
I think,
but it doesn't mean that
gets you back up.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that once remission has been achieved, then maybe you could have a look at the holistic approaches a bit more thoroughly and see as to whether or not that would help maintain remission rather than it curing?
Well, for me, when I had when I was younger and my colitis was really bad, I didn't have diarrhea. I had constipation, and my doctors got to the point where tablets and laxatives weren't working. They would just give me Serapifex. That's to me, that's holistic crap. And no, I wasn't in remission. I still wouldn't take a holistic, I don't know, not an ointment, but anything like that while in remission, because with having autoimmune disease, it's going to flare something else up. I'm lucky if I don't have days where my joints kill me, which is why I haven't been out running for ages, because my joints have been annihilated. One of my friends has said that it could be that that thing Steve has, the arthritis-y thing that affects your hips and your lower back, spondylitis. And I see rheumatology in July about it. And I just know fine well that if I took something holistic, it's going to just send something else out of whack.
Yeah.
I can't remember who posted about it today. Someone posted about it on one of the social media saying how they've got different things wrong with it. It's Cat's bag of crap. She was like, I've got this, this, and this, and this might be linked to this, but it also might not be. And you just don't know what putting stuff into your body, whether it's medical, actually like medicine or not, it's going to do to you. You know, you get enough side effects from just paracetamol, let alone biologics.
I think it depends how you define like holistic though, doesn't it? Like there's certain like alternative therapies and stuff that, like mindfulness and things, I know that me getting stressed is one of the only things that actually causes me to flame in the first place. So if I was already in remission, practicing mindfulness and stuff is something that I would consider doing. But swallowing some herbal holistic medicine, probably
Yeah,
not.
I think like there's a lot of like relaxation techniques. Like I definitely benefit from massage, like full body massage. I
would if someone had given me one.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But like, I had somebody say to me, "Oh, try reflexology. Oh, it's really good for like bowel conditions and stuff." Obviously, because different parts of the body is related to different parts on your foot, and they can actually. I had a friend who does it, and she actually picked up. She said, "Oh, your kidneys aren't functioning right," and actually, I had a blood test come back saying about my kidney function wasn't right. So
it's not because she saw the couple of bottles of Captain Morgan, was it?
No, definitely wasn't. This was a while ago. Yeah, I've only become an alcoholic since being with James.
I fully agree with you though, because when I was 18, so before all my surgeries, I was kind of seeing this osteopath, and so I would get free osteopathy done. And one time he was doing whatever to my back. He was able to tell that I was severely compacted, and that was really weird because I hadn't even told him I was sick. And the fact that he was able to pinpoint that, and like my sister-in-law, she's an acupuncturist, and she can tell all sorts of stuff. It's like if they ask you to hold out your tongue, most people are like, oh my God, I haven't brushed my tongue. Like when I brush my teeth, whatever, blah, 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 my breath might stink. They're looking at different things to do with your tongue that would still be visible even if you had the most hackiest tongue in the world or the cleanest tongue. So it's amazing. It is insane how much your body, different parts of your body can show you other parts of your body that's unseen. It's like when I was pregnant, you can't use cold flu tablets or anything like that. So I did all that stupid sinus rubbing in your earlobes and all that crap, and it was surprising how well that worked.
Yeah, I think there's, some holistic therapies, definitely, like I said, massage is a big thing. Like that helps me. I have really terrible time with my joints and stuff, and I do find it helps. And obviously I get quite stressed, I've got a lot going on. So it definitely, obviously stress impacts your health, mental health, bowels, everything. So that's sort of relaxing. But I definitely found with the reflexology, it actually irritated my bowel. First time I had it done, a guy did it once, and he actually said, "Oh yeah, I can feel like these sort of, it's almost he said sort of crystallized like nodules in my foot, and that obviously was the inflammation in my bowel at the time. I don't have my bowel anymore, like my colon, sorry. And it actually, like when I went home, a few hours, I had really bad diarrhea. So he'd obviously done something to irritate it. And then, yeah, out of nowhere, he said, oh, yeah, you might actually have a dodgy tummy for a couple of days. And he was right, I did. To be honest, it actually put me off going back because I thought, oh, I can't be doing with that. So I don't know if I'd sort of persisted with it, whether it would have, worked, but I was in agony, so it was no.
Well, it's releasing it. It's supposed to release like energies, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's trying to promote it to function better, isn't it? Like blood supply, circulation. So it's probably trying to kickstart it, because I definitely, when I had my colons do, I suffered really on and off. Like I'd go through episodes of constipation, then really bad diarrhea, and overflow. Oh, it was awful. I didn't know what was going on.
They don't actively promote that though with diagnosis for Crohn's or UC. The fact that you can go from one extreme to the other, you can go from being severely impacted and not going to the toilet for days, and then having a sudden explosion and constant diarrhea. They don't advertise that fact. They also don't advertise the fact that you, as well as losing weight in a flare, there's others that gain weight with flares. Yep. I mean, Sahara, I know you're a bit like me to a degree, and you have to fight your GI team because you know your body inside out. How often do your blood test results come back normal, but when you have the biopsies done, it shows that it is active pretty much in places where you wouldn't think it could be active?
Pretty much every time. My blood tests, my inflammation markers don't show anything anymore. My white cell count is something that's recently become an issue, so that drops low a lot. And so that does show up. But if I do a stool sample or go for blood, I'll always get told that everything's within like safe margins. So I always push to go and have a camera, because as soon as they put the camera in, you see the ulcers, you see the blood, the biopsies come back and confirm that the inflammation's active. I don't usually need the biopsies to tell me that the inflammation's active. I know that. But the IBD team...
You can't be diagnosed by a blood test. People tell me all the time, oh, well, I don't have that because my blood test has shown it's fine. And I'm like, sweetheart, I've had IBD for over 20 years. I think you'll find that 9 times out of 10, your inflammatory markers are fine. Your CR levels are fine. Your iron levels are fine. But you're really not. You need that camera. Otherwise, you can't see it at all. And
well, Steffi, you know, half the reason why I didn't have the rest of my Barbie butt operation carried out when they done it is because 3 months before the op, they took all the biopsies. I had a gastroscopy and a colonoscopy. About, I think it was in August. My op was meant to be September, and then it got pushed to November because my surgeon was ironically off sick having surgery himself. And my biopsies come back and my Crohn's has gone microscopic. So what it's done, it's gone from inside the bowel to outside the bowel, and it started attaching itself to other bits and places. So, and then obviously they've just recently changed my diagnosis to perianal Crohn's. But do you know what? My bloods come back perfect every time, apart from the anemic problems that I have and where my electrolytes are a bit wacky because of the fact that I've got a high output stoma. Other than that, my bloods come back fine. Not a word, nothing, nada on my bloods.
It is weird though. At the beginning, that blood tests always did show inflammation. I didn't have to go. I'd probably end up going for a colonoscopy anyway, because whenever the meds don't work and you're saying they don't work, they still feel the need to poke something up your arse so they know it's not working. But at the beginning, my bloods did show stuff that they no longer show. But I know.
That's because you have your small bowel as a J pouch. That's the thing. That's what I found. Stephen and I fought for 8 years for the fact that I was still sick. And it was ridiculous. Like, nothing showed at all whatsoever. And they didn't believe me until after I was pregnant with Rara that anything. And then one of the trainee GPs. She fought my corner so hard, and GPs get a bad rap a lot of the time, but she really, like, she thought I didn't pay for my prescription, so she turned up at my house with a prescription. I'm like, I need to pay for that. She's like, whatever, all right. And like, she just came to my house with this, and then she was like, you need to go to hospital now. Rang me an ambulance there and then. She was like, I tend to find that the junior doctors and trainee doctors are the ones that are more likely to look into things for you.
I said the same thing. Even phlebotomists, those that are training, how gentle are they? They don't hurt. The phlebotomists that have been doing it years, ram it in, don't care.
But I honestly think that when you have a J pouch, your basic, like, I don't know, the way your body metabolizes everything just changes. All the chemicals and stuff changes. Like, the pain is nothing that you ever felt before. I think you have pain when you have colitis, and then you have a J pouch and you get pouchitis, and it's unreal because everything's so much more acute because it's in a very smaller space than spread through.
Yeah.
But it's ridiculous. And I like the fact that for the first time on the show's history ever, we've got 3 people, well, maybe with Richard, but we've got more people with colitis than we do Crohn's. Because there's only Louise and James.
Yes, Winnie.
Because everyone's like, oh, I've got Crohn's this, Crohn's that, Crohn's this. And it's like, get lost. There's colitis as well.
Hello, we're here.
James has been very quiet.
He's nervous, bless him. You should have seen him and John hiding out at the PW event because they was in rooms with celebrities apparently, and they was rather intimidated by the lot of us.
Yeah.
Celebrities?
Well, that's what John said.
Well, Steve's a celebrity. His face is all over them banners.
Who is?
You.
Steve.
Oh, Steve. Oh, yeah, Steve. Steve and Rachel, yeah. God, they're doing amazing work. Like, I admire them guys so much. They've done brilliantly. They really have. And it's so nice to see that they found each other. Oh, it's just like...
Breaks your heart a
It's
little
the
bit,
same with
isn't
you
it?
two. It's the same with you two.
Oh, is it?
Oh, me and my dog.
I actually don't know that many couples that have like got together. I know 3. So there's like Steve and Nat, and they found each other on groups. You two found each other on groups, and Rachel and Steve found each other from this.
Yeah.
She confessed to stalking my fundraising.
I did not. I shared your latest cycle, and I was like, "Oh, who's
and
that?"
dropped a message.
No, you were the one that he was like. So we were chatting for a little while. I was like, "Oh, you know, you should really do blogging." He's like, "Oh, I'm not very good at blogging." And then a little while later, it all sort of went quiet, and then suddenly, "Oh, do you want to meet up sometime?"
I remember when she told me about you. She's like, "I'll be a boy."
Yeah, and you knew exactly who he was.
Oh yeah, I'm not an idiot. I'm a stalker myself. There's nothing I don't know.
I'm the only reason Fiona talks to me is to talk about like all the shit stuff that happens. So I was there when all the crap happened with, you know, douchebag, and then I get nothing when all the nice stuff happens. I had to find out from Louise. Louise told me.
It's because we live closer. She's only up the road from me.
Hey, it went Facebook official.
What did?
Us.
Oh, yeah.
So Sahara, just correct me if I'm right, because obviously you do quite a lot of research into this. Apparently, there's 1% of the IBD community who have had IBD for a long existing period of time that blood's come back normal, and they have to have pretty extensive invasive testing to confirm as to whether or not they're in active flare. So would that count for the medications as well?
In what sense, sorry?
In what sense? So if, say you've got 1% of the IBD community or population that are coming back and their blood test results are perfectly normal, yet they need to have tests to confirm an active flare,
Yeah.
So would that be the same for patients, say, such as yourself or me or even Steffi before she had the ileostomy put into place, that you get immune to the medications over the years? They don't work.
I can only really speak from personal perspective, and obviously the people that I've spoken to online. But it does seem to be the case, especially with the biologics, that people frequently get used to them and then end up moving on to another. So it was literally a case of, if you'd started the biologics because you'd run out of everything else, you were pretty much biding time till surgery, is how it felt.
Yeah.
Obviously, we are coming up with new biologics all the time anyway. Personally, the only medication that's ever worked for me was azathioprine anyway, and I got a good 10 months remission from the azathioprine until I had a bad breakup, moved house.
I think Sahara was just frozen for the minute. But I mean, Steffi, did you ever get to the point of biologics?
Yes, I took chemo
for a certain amount of time.
Oh, sorry, you dropped out there for a minute, Sahara. But I mean, Steffi, with you with the biologics, did you try any before obviously after the pouchitis, before the ileostomy?
I had after pouchitis, no, they won't give you, or they wouldn't for me. They would. It was, I was told you'll have to take antibiotics for life, and I was like, you're supposed to take antibiotics 3 months and then you swap to another one because your body becomes resistant to it. Like my Steve made a really good point the other day. He's like, there'd still only be penicillin if people didn't get used to antibiotics. Penicillin was the wonder drug, wasn't it, back when it came into being, and everyone, all the bugs and stuff weren't resistant to it, but now they are. So if bugs can get resistant to like antibiotics, we can get resistant to biologics. But
even painkillers,
no, they literally,
aren't they? You take painkillers a certain amount of time, and then you need to have stronger painkillers because they stop working. It's not always that your condition's worse. It's that I've had these for so long, they don't affect me anymore. We must go up to Tramadol. We must go up to pain patches.
They literally turn around and said, you can have metronidazole or steroids. And I was like, well, I ain't taking steroids because I was addicted to them last time I took them. I will take a probiotic. That's what
the BSL-3, which tastes like sick.
Oh, they wouldn't give me it. The GI wanted me to have it, but the GP couldn't find it to prescribe me it. And then I was just like, I went back a month later. I was like, after spending 3 weeks of looking at stomas online and crying until I stopped crying, I was like, I want to go in for surgery. I was like, I'm not going to be on medication again for the rest of my life. The whole reason I had my J-pouch formed to begin with was because I was sick of being on methotrexate. I was sick of my ex's mum having to inject me and taking a little bit too much enjoyment out of it. She was lovely. We got on really well. It's not a dig at her, but or having to take what's that? It's one of the intravenous ones, infusions. I can't think what it's called now. Infliximab. And then my joints completely seizing up, and my dad having to carry me up and down the stairs, and leaving a telephone by the sofa so that if I needed to get up for the toilet in the middle of the night, I could ring him and he could come down and get me, and then sit on the stairs until I was finished on the toilet. And like, I don't know many people's parents that would do that for their late teenager, like, because
do you know what?
The J-pouch was something that was going to make you better. Was that what you thought was going to happen?
The surgery, yeah. They were basically, but I didn't have a temporary ileostomy either. They were just like, my surgeon was very arrogant. He was like, oh yeah, you don't need that. You'll be fine. This, that, and the other. You might get pouchitis, but it's only like an infection. It'll go away within a couple of months. And I was like, right, okay. And I had pouchitis for nearly a year.
Well, I think
ridiculous.
I think with me, I'm just, you know what, I get fed up. I'm actually either immune, intolerant, or allergic to most of the Crohn's meds now. I think at one point they had me on methotrexate, mercaptopurine, metronidazole, and prednisolone at the same time. Wow. And that stuff is awful. It's actually on my notes now that I'm allergic to methotrexate, metronidazole, and mercaptopurine. They won't give it to me because they had
Jim. Sorry, Louise.
That's okay.
I'm just curious to see what James takes. Because James doesn't have a J pouch or an ostomy, do you? You just have
Captain
the Crohn's.
Morgan.
Yeah.
All I take now. All I take is that Pentasa stuff.
Yeah,
You literally take mesalazine?
Yeah, twice a day. That's all I've taken since my diagnosis in 2016.
That's insane. That didn't even last like 2 months for me.
One of the lucky ones.
Well, he gets a lot of.
Get these little blips where I get like real bad cramping, and then I'll just get the odd like extreme fatigue. But then I've only twice had really bad where I've like collapsed, and I don't know what it was. Just blacked out. So.
Did you have like investigated, or did you just do the man thing and be like, no, well, I'm all right now?
No, just when I collapsed in the bathroom and I smashed my back on the sink, and I couldn't stand up and walk straight.
Yeah, but you were on the loo at the time, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go to the doctors though?
No.
I phoned that 111 where it was, and they just said take some painkillers and stuff.
Him off.
Yeah.
Drink some water. Take some painkillers.
Yeah.
Just drink Captain Morgan.
So you've got a
I've got a follow-up.
colonoscopy coming up. He's only had one since diagnosis.
Well, it's a follow-up I've got on May the 21st.
Yeah. But I
didn't have that many.
I had one a year.
Oh, no.
I used to just not turn up. I conveniently got my day wrong. And then one time Stephen came for a flexi sig with me. They were like, "Oh, he's a man, he can't sit with you." I was like, "Well, see you later then."
Yeah.
And then my sister brought me in one time. They were like, "Oh, you got the wrong day." I was like, and the one time I actually genuinely was going to go in, I actually got the wrong day because I was just a forgetful kid.
Well, Steffi, you know how severe Elaine still is at the moment with her Crohn's and her perianal Crohn's. She's messaged in. She said that she spent 2 years being severely constipated. Then she went to severe diarrhea just before diagnosis. Her CRP levels, even though she's in a really bad flare at the moment, they're trying to change her meds because they're not working. Her CRP levels are only between 10 and 20 every time she has her bloods done. She has to go through all the rigmarole of the Cal protection, you know what I mean?
In the 9 months or so that I had pouchitis, where it was incredibly bad to the point I was in hospital like I was before, with my colitis I was in like for a week to 2 weeks, and then I'd be off for 2 weeks, and then the next month it'd be the same thing again. My CRP levels literally only hit the 50s once, and that was literally because I collapsed at work.
Mine have been in the hundreds.
But no, I'm meaning with, because like Sahara said, your levels don't fluctuate when you have pouchitis. It's ridiculous. There's got to be something with the genetic makeup of your small bowel.
You feel like you're lying as well, though. I mean, I know a lot of people have been through that process before they've been diagnosed and stuff, but it's new to me because I didn't go through that process. I was only poorly for 2 weeks before, pretty badly for 2 weeks, but then I was admitted to hospital, diagnosed straight away, and then I had my colon whipped out, so I pretty much missed this whole drama thing.
Is there alcohol in that one, Sahara?
I don't really drink.
Yeah, cider.
Yeah, is that cider?
We're on the Lucozade.
White lightning.
See, the thing was with me when they diagnosed me with the Crohn's, because I had the fistula, and because of where the fistula come out, and because they couldn't locate it, they didn't want to open me up because my Crohn's didn't stop flaring from 2003 until 2009. My Crohn's only stopped flaring because I was pregnant. So they pretty much hit me with every drug possible. Anybody remember sulfasalazine?
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
There's nice big yellow tablets. Budesonide, Pred, infliximab, which I'm now severely allergic to. Humira, I now have antibodies to. Methotrexate, can't use it. Mercaptopurine, metronidazole. I'm trying to remember which. I think it's the metronidazole, isn't it? Or is it the mesalazine?
They're quite giant tablets, the round ones. They're like horse tablets.
What's the others? Pentasa. So sorry for any of those that are actually on this drug at the moment. But my consultant said for Crohn's that treating Crohn's with Pentasa was the equivalent of pissing in the ocean, apparently, for the severity of my Crohn's disease. So he promptly took me off of that one.
They seem to start everyone on Pentasa, because I started on Pentasa and then I came out in a really bad rash on my chest, so they changed it. God, I can't remember what it was now. I think it was called
azathioprine.
Colitis. Yeah, I was on I was put on azathioprine, and I just flared constantly. And he said, "Oh, you'll only be on it a couple of years." I was on it for 7 years. In the end, then he put me on infliximab infusions, and then I got changed to golimumab. So the injection that you do at home. So like, I think it's like Humira, but it's I think the street name was
street name. What was it? Like back alley drugs.
Yeah, like it's golimumab, but it was called Simponi or Simponi. Have you ever heard of that one?
No.
Yeah,
I thought I tried everything, but there's actually quite a lot that I didn't try. But I think.
And then I got offered the vedolizumab, and that's when I was like, no, I'm having surgery, take it out, I'm done. So I didn't even bother with that one. I sort of, it came up as an option, and they were like, you've got to go up to London for it. And so I researched it and everything, and there was quite a few. I think, Lou, you're on it, aren't you?
What, the Endeavour, the stuff that's not working? Yeah, that one.
So, yeah.
It was working for a little while though, Louise, wasn't it?
It was, until I started developing the psoriasis. Yeah.
So I then decided, no, I'm ready. Like 14 years of having UC, I had my colon out. But like, I don't know, like a lot of, like my surgeon's saying 70% of people that go for the J pouch are successful. Now, I'm hesitant on that because the amount of research I've done of people that have had the J pouch and absolutely hated it, or at some point it needs reversing, and
I think the stats look good, don't they? But if you're actually in a community of people and you ask them about it, it always seems quite bad. But then I always try and think about it in the sense that the people that it work for probably aren't in IBD groups. They're out living life.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, in relation to what you're saying, you know, about you will only hear the bad cases because they're the people that are online trying to get support, you know, that do want to rant about it and get advice. But the people that are actually doing well and getting on with their lives are the people that won't have any issues with it, that will just be getting on. So, you know, of course we're going to hear about the bad things. So obviously you've got to take that into consideration. But then I also think my operation to have my ileostomy was so horrendous, you know, I nearly died, that do I want to put my body through having the J pouch and then possibly another, obviously the 2 operations to get the J pouch, and then if it doesn't work, a third one to make the permanent again?
You won't often hear me saying anything positive about a J pouch because I hated it. But in the long run, I didn't have the bleeding, didn't have the constipation of the UC. I could still eat what I wanted. It took me 8 years to realise that onions were trying to kill me. And I still have trouble with onions with my stoma. But other than the odd times where I would just have the most crippling tummy cramps, I was out drinking. I managed to get pregnant. I had a relatively healthy pregnancy. Bearing in mind I had open surgery, so I had a lot of scar tissue to contend with. So I try not to think of all the crap that happened with my first pregnancy because my stomach couldn't really stretch, and the same with Jacob, it couldn't really stretch. I was able to go to work. Not that I was ever not working, because it was all I ever knew. I just worked anyway. I still had a life, you know. Having a J pouch still allowed me to do all these things that I did struggle with when I had UC. But when I had UC, it was just, I didn't know any different.
You didn't, because you didn't have the stage where you had the ileostomy, because like the situation that you're in now, you know that you feel better anyway, so you've got your life back. And for me, hindsight's a wonderful thing. At the time I was 19, I'd been diagnosed within 2 weeks of being sick. I'd got this bag on. I didn't even know what one of these bags were before I got one. And 100% it was a vanity thing. I was so fucking miserable with this bag on that I wanted the J pouch. It was like a desperate thing for me. And in hindsight, having had another bag a couple of years ago, I wish I'd not bothered with this pouch at all.
So just to ask, because I've had a couple of people asking questions about the J pouch, just to explain this, J pouch is used for ulcerative colitis patients, and isn't that just because technically if the large bowel has gone, the disease has gone, therefore the pouch...
It's also used in some cancer patients. I believe my next door neighbour has one. He got bowel cancer. He was in hospital for a few months, and he's like a year older than me, and he got bowel cancer, and they've literally done a resection. A J pouch is essentially your small bowel attached to your rectum, which is just a resection. Whereas if you don't have IBD, you won't hear it being called a J pouch or an ilioanal pouch. You will just hear it as a resection, because that's all it is.
Whereas with Crohn's patients, typically a J pouch wouldn't be formed because Crohn's can jump from where it started, where it originated, to healthy bowel. And Sahara might remember this. I messaged when she first started talking about the possibility of her having pouchitis. I'd said that if she had any form of active disease in her rectal stump, or rectal, like in her rectum, it would just travel through into the pouch, because the pouch has taken on the job of your large bowel. So that's how I got my pouchitis back, my pouchitis to begin with, because I had active UC in my rectum.
And that's what IBD nurse explained my surgeon, saying that it's something that they do called scraping. So I'd literally only got the rectal cuff left, and obviously the small intestine was cut up and sewn back together to make the actual J pouch, which replaces the rectum. And they said that if the rectal cuff hadn't been scraped properly, then there was more chance of pouchitis developing. But nobody really knows whether it was scraped properly in the first place. I just know that right now it's broken.
Is it really bad? I really want to have my large bowel put into a jar and pickled so I can have it on my desk every time I do the show.
Oh, no, I like that idea.
I think if people are given the option of having a J pouch, there is no reason why you shouldn't try it. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to have a stoma. If you were quite happy to have a stoma in the long run anyway, and you could have a temporary stoma for the rest of your life if you really wanted to. You know, nobody's saying that unless your rectal stump gets infected or whatever, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to just have a temporary one for the rest of your life, because you can always change your mind.
Yeah.
You know, and have a J pouch. There's nothing wrong with having a J pouch if that's what you want, because you can try it and go, sorry, it's not working. We'll go for the permanent ileostomy.
Yeah, but I've been told by my surgeon that obviously if I want to have children, that it's better that I...
Bullshit.
Well,
I call bullshit so much on that. It pisses me off. So many people that come to me and go, oh, do you have a permanent or a temporary ileostomy? Permanent. But you fell pregnant. Yeah, I did. Oh, I have to have my eggs frozen. I have to have this. I have to do that. No, you don't. They have no research to prove that you can't have children if you have a permanent ileostomy. My surgeon turned around to me and said, we don't know. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. I fell pregnant twice after having my stoma. So there you go. Yeah, 2 times. And it took me 2 years to fall pregnant with my J pouch for Lyrabeth. Within 2 months I was pregnant from having my permanent ileostomy. It really drives me nuts. They have no concrete evidence to say you cannot or you can fall pregnant, or if you need to wait, or it just annoys me. Because it doesn't mean you having a temporary doesn't mean you're going to get pregnant.
So can I just ask this? Sorry, can I just ask this out of curiosity about then? So when you've got UC, it's in your large bowel, but it can also go through your rectum, right? So say those of you with UC get a temporary ileostomy, and a resection is not really an option, is it, without a J pouch?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
why do so many UC patients have the Barbie butt operation carried out if you could technically have a temporary stoma for life? Sorry, just to
Because
ask.
of the risk of cancer. Because if the disease is active, even mildly, they're saying that in the long term, if you've got mild active colitis in your rectum, there's always going to be a risk of bowel cancer developing. Now, that's what my surgeon told me.
Is it like 60%,
The active
isn't it?
colitis does actually cause pain anyway, doesn't it? So you're better off to remove it if it is flaring,
Yeah,
mildly,
because
moderately, severely. It will hurt, and you will keep having to do the run
Yeah.
into the toilet to pass the mucus and stuff.
it's just because I did research for someone, and typically a disused bowel, even if it's disconnected, shouldn't be left in you any longer than 7 to 8 years. For those of you with a temporary stoma, you're meant to have a colonoscopy or a flexi-sig done once a year, because they have to take biopsies and they have to check for mutations. Now, what I'm just wondering is I've actually seen, there's a couple recently that have popped up in the groups. Somebody had a resection 20 years after having their ileostomy formed.
Wow.
20 freaking years.
Jesus.
That's
Yeah.
But then
mental.
there's loads of people that say, for instance, my surgeon said that he was impressed that my J pouch lasted 7 to 8 years, because a lot of people that he's done that surgery on, it only lasts 2.
Yeah, it does
There are
seem to
people
have
on,
an expiry.
yeah, there's a lot of people on Twitter though that have had it 20 plus years, you know, and they're still fantastically like healthy for them, you know.
I
But
think it's
it's
what you're
all
willing to put up with
individual.
as
We're all
well.
different.
Yeah, like I went to, before I had my surgery, my stoma nurse said that I should go to a support group, and I went, and there were people there that had stomas, and there were people there that had J pouches. And there was a guy there that had had his J pouch for 20 years, and he said, look, life's not perfect. I do get anxiety still when traveling, you know, obviously if he needs a loo, and he does get pouchitis, but he's more than happy to just sort of deal with it and get on with it. And then obviously there were people that have had the J pouch, and literally within a year, 2 years, they wanted it taken out and they wanted their ileostomy back. So I think it is kind of down to the individual of what suits you, and if you're willing to cope with dealing with a J pouch and pouchitis. Whereas I know I don't even want to risk the urgency back. That was a major thing for me. Like, you know, leaving the house, I was anxious. And now with my stoma, I don't have that anymore. I have my freedom back. So why would I want to put my body through possibly 2 or 3 more operations? You know, I'm quite happy when it comes to the right time just to have my stoma made permanent.
Urgency, overflow, those things are a major thing with J pouches. I don't know if Sahara suffers that as well, but it was something
Mine's
I
been a
suffered with a
major
lot.
issue since I had it. Mine was an issue before it was even connected up, when I still had a temporary ileostomy. I had to stick foam up my bum before I was even going through it. So I should have known then, really, that it wasn't going to go well.
I mean, Sahara, what decision are you going to make later on down the line? Are you going to opt to have the pouch excised and go for the...
Yeah, I'm waiting now I've been with my surgeon's not at the same hospital that my IBD nurse and consultant are at, and I actually tried to get an appointment with him a few weeks ago to talk about it, and I've been automatically discharged because I've not seen him for a certain amount of time, so the referral's just gone back to him. So that's it. Yeah, we're calling it a pouch trail now and taking it out.
And are you happy with that decision?
I can't wait. I am like a kid waiting for Christmas. I've been so fucking miserable for so long.
I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? IBD as a whole, and especially with the temporary ileostomy, and then the choice of a pouch, and then the choice of a resection, and it's a lot to think about. Because just out of curiosity, with ulcerative colitis patients, if you've had all your large bowel removed and they do the pouch, do you technically suffer with BAN?
With what?
Bile salt malabsorption. No,
It depends,
not
I never
everyone.
have.
I've not, and obviously I had more of my small bowel removed than someone that was going in straight away for an ileostomy. And I have never been told. What a GP out of hours said that I had BAM, and I saw a GI and he was like, you don't listen to GP out of hours when they're talking about stuff like that, because they're not specialised. They can refer you to a specialist. They can offer, you know.
Well, I'm just wondering, because how often is the frequency with a J pouch? Just sorry, Sahara, just to ask you this one.
I think it depends. Like some people can, they could go 2-3 times a day. Some other people could go 8 times a day. It depends how big the surgeon's made it, because there's actually J pouches and S pouches and stuff, which is how much intestine they've actually chopped up and stuck back together to make it. And then it's like a bladder. Like some people stretches further than others. For me at the minute, I can't get a full night's sleep. I will get up 3 or 4 times a night, but there has been a point when I've been well where I'd be able to sleep through the night. So a good day for me would be 5 times in a day, and then 0 or 1 time at night. At the minute, it's like I'm lucky to go 90 minutes without having to go back to the toilet.
And how was it?
Still get urgency? Like you feel like you literally need to run to the loo?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
that was one of the main reasons I went for my stoma.
Yeah.
My symptoms have changed. Like the way that I used to get pouchitis, there used to be like a certain level where I could deal with it. But then more recently, the last 18 months that I've had pouchitis, it feels like I've got ulcerative colitis again. There's bleeding, there's ulcers. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't even want to risk going back to a life like that. You know, like. You know, you were saying about, like, for you, it was like the vanity.
Yeah.
But I love my bag. I literally, like, it has given me so much. So it doesn't bother me to show it, you know, anything.
You're more mature now. That's not me slating there, you Sahara, because we were very young when we had our surgery.
All I did was, my life was not like my life is now. I was going out all the time and dating boys. That was it.
You're so much more mature now, Fiona, than you would have been at 19 and at 21. You love yourself and you appreciate what your body has been through and how much it's struggled and how much you've fought just to stay alive. And that, to a lot of people, that sounds very melodramatic, but sometimes it feels like you're dying.
Yeah.
When I was offered a stoma at 14, I was like, nah, thanks, I'll just keep trying the medication, because I had loads of medication left to try. When I was 21, I was like, can you do it without the bag? And he's like, oh yeah, I don't need to do a bag. I was like, good, because if I wake up with a bag, I'm going to kill myself. Because there was a stoma nurse that came in, drew circles on my stomach. I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm drawing up for stoma. I'm like, no, you're fucking not. And I just went out. I was like, I'm not having my surgery. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It took me ages for people to talk me back down. And then 8 years later, I chose to have my stoma.
Yeah.
You know, I knew that it was what I needed. And I was so vain when I was younger. I'm still really vain, don't get me wrong. But like it's not the same. It's not the same. Like I don't care. My bag covers half of my stomach. Therefore I only have half of an issue with my body because I don't see the other half.
Do you know what though? It's different for everyone. I hated my first ileostomy. I woke up with an open wound like the size that's pretty much the full expand of my stomach now, with an ileostomy whacked on top of an incisional hernia. I hated it. I went mental. They had to pin me down to the bed at one point. I didn't accept it for the 3 years. I couldn't wait for the wound to close and get the git reversed. Then I had the git reversed and I was like, I don't want it no more. Put it back. Put it back. So
I think I had an ileostomy again a couple of years ago because I got a twisted intestine and an abscess. And whilst they were removing them and untwisting it, they accidentally tore my pouch. So I had a temporary ileostomy back. And I did debate then whether to bother returning back to my J pouch or not. And I basically did because I thought it's there, so I may as well try it. If it doesn't work, I'm totally fine with having an ileostomy, and I know that now. And I really don't mind having surgery. It's a few weeks off work, isn't
it? Do you know what? I think because going for the second ileostomy, because it was being planned and because I knew it was happening, I think I just had a lot more time to come to terms with it, and I wasn't glued to the toilet at 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 8 in the morning. getting in the car and having to stop somewhere and jump out the car and run into the woods on the side of the motorway because I couldn't hold it in, because where I had all the ileum removed and then obviously the BAM as well. It was just bloody awful. It was excruciating going to the toilet.
Was yours emergency, or was it your choice, sort of planned?
A bit of both. I came into a major flare and I literally was in agony, and I just said, no, enough's enough. My gastro gave me the option of it was either surgery or vedolizumab, and I went, no, surgery, take it out. And he kept trying to get me to try this drug, and I was actually admitted in the end with a bad flare, and I said, yeah, I'm ready for surgery. They brought a surgeon round and he said, yeah, we'll get you a date book. So yeah, it wasn't emergency as in I was whipped in. Like I was discharged, and they said, look, we won't give you steroids. So it was awful. I was in a very bad flare waiting for this surgery, and I had to push it. Like, they kept pushing the date back, and I was like, you kidding me? I've come off steroids and I'm in agony. I was on no treatment at all, so I was waiting, and they did bring it forward in the end. So yeah, it's not. Yeah, I wasn't whipped in. It was planned.
Well, that's very similar to Natalie and Steve. They both knew that they were going to have their stoma, but they both went into flare to the point that they needed to have it gone.
Yeah.
So
it was. But I was ready. Do you know what I mean? Like you said earlier, I'd had colitis for 14 years. And my body was exhausted, and I'd had enough. And I researched stomas, I looked at pictures, I read blogs. Ironically, yours and Louise's was included in that. And it gave me confidence, and I thought, yeah, I'm ready. And I literally, when I woke up from surgery, I remember looking down and I wasn't phased at all. And the first time I opened, emptied my bag, didn't bother me at all. I was, ready. And you
have to admit, though, the first couple of weeks, especially directly after surgery, it's fire emptying that bag.
Oh God!
Whatever you do, don't get it on the floor or get it on anything, because it stains everything.
James just oh my God.
We'll take you through it step by step.
I'll tell you what, though, being with someone that hasn't got an ostomy, like with James, Jesus Christ, he makes up with it with his gas. And I'm like, that's a good old fart. Jesus.
For 2 weeks,
really
Stephen wouldn't.
Fart, isn't it?
For 2 weeks, Stephen wouldn't have a fart in front of me because he felt awful that I couldn't, and he could.
I don't hold back.
Yeah, he doesn't. He literally will just let loose. I'm
rip.
so jealous.
Is it really bad though? You sit there, and when someone does, you're like, why can't I do that anymore?
God's sake, man.
Have you noticed it's the one thing people ask you? Can you still fart?
Yeah.
It's the one thing most people are like, and they're like, look at you, as such upset. They're like, oh, that's horrible. Well, I can't believe you can't do it.
The thing is we do pass weed. We just have absolutely no control over it. You'll be sitting on a packed train, and you'll go for a tunnel, and it's quiet, and it'll go. That's me. Wait until it's really, really quiet, and it'll just break the ice.
My stoma is actually pretty quiet, but one of the last times it went off was when I was eating dinner with James and his parents. And his mum was like, oh, don't worry about it. It just sounds like a tummy rumble.
But it does, though. People only get embarrassed. You'll see in the groups, oh, how do I stop it from sounding so loud and whatever? I'm like, to be honest, it just sounds like your stomach's rumbling.
Yeah.
It's the only person that knows it's your stomach farting is you.
Exactly.
I'll be honest.
Attention to it.
I'll be thingy. There's a lady who I'm friends with up the road that's got a stoma, and every time we go for coffee, she goes to me, all I can ever hear is it going off, and I'm going like, you're paranoid. I said, you really are paranoid. And she's going, well, can't we design a bag cover to muffle the sound? And I'm like, Well, no, I said, because there's no amount of material, I said, or anything that is going to muffle the sound of that stoma going off on one.
Oh, that'll be the new thing, won't it?
Soundproof stoma bags.
It's all right. Back in Making Ostomy Cool, we had a lady that would constantly go on and on and on about designing a bag for pancaking, and she would cut holes in all of her clothes and be like, "This is how it stops you pancaking." I'm like, just looking at her like, oh, she cut a hole in like a satchel bag once and put her bag into the satchel bag, and it's like, if you go to a tourist area and someone's going to pickpocket and they're going to whip your bag, they're going to take more than just your handbag, aren't they?
A nice surprise.
But it is surprising what people put on the groups.
I remember that lady, because she wouldn't listen to anybody's advice for the pancaking, would she? And every answer or solution somebody come up with, she's like, no, don't work. Tried it.
She's on other groups now. I mean, I'm no longer in Making Ostomy Cool because it was my way or the highway, according to Shell. Sorry, Shell, but I'm sick of listening to that now. But yeah, so that's why I left that group. But you'll see people in so many other groups that are doing the same thing. They're saying the same thing, like, oh, this is what I do for this, and this is what I do for that, and then what do you do? And then someone else gives a solution, and it's like, unless it's going to cause harm to someone, what the hell's the issue? I mean, I'd be more worried that someone would whip her bloody bag off and like it take her colostomy bag too, and then she's got now to carry nothing to put back on. She's gonna the only person that's going to be screwed is herself. You what,
though, if a pickpocket done that, they'd learn their bloody lesson. I can tell you.
Jesus.
But do you know what I mean? If you didn't have another bag to put on because everything was in that bloody bag that you had your bloody full bag stuck into, you'd be like, well, what have I got to do? You're gonna have to go home.
Oh dear God! Right, we're going to wrap up for this evening because we've overrun. I would like to say a massive, great big thank you to Sahara, Fiona, and James for coming on this evening. James not really said a lot, but he's been sitting there.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, and big thanks for Steffi for coming on because she thought she had a migraine earlier, so we wasn't too sure she was going to make it.
And I won't be here next week because I'm at work. So
however,
some weeks where I'm not here.
We have the jet set couple back next week, so we will see what we're doing. Oh, Sahara, would you like to come back on the 17th, which is 2 days before, not IBD Awareness Month, but IBD Awareness Day?
Yeah,
so
it's the 19th, you know.
So that, I know. You know what? It's because I'm doing that. It's because I'm doing that Twitter chat on the 18th. All I've got in my head is the 18th. It's on the calendar, and I've even got it on the calendar. Twitter chat, IBD Day, and I don't know why I've done it. And when you said to me, I was like,
"Take it off."
Was when you said to me, I went through and changed all the dates. But no, it's not IBD Awareness Month. Definitely not in the UK. I think Sahara's actually put a post up on IBD Superheros to say when IBD Awareness is. There's a week in December, and we have a day in May.
Can I just have a mention for James and I? Obviously, you guys know, but James and I are doing the Salisbury to Canterbury endurance charity bike ride.
Did you get your gel seat?
Hey?
Did you get a gel padded seat?
Yes, I'll be purchasing a gel seat.
How far is it?
Nearly 200 miles over 2 days.
Bloody hell.
And we're raising money for Crohn's and Colitis. James has been doing charity cycling for a few years now. And he wants to get to the target of £10,000, and we're at 7.
We're just over 7.
So we're trying to raise money to get to the 10,000 target. And obviously we've got a group together for the Yorkshire 3 Peaks to raise money for Purple Wings, and obviously anybody can join us. The more the merrier.
It's only £6 entry fee.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's not even expensive.
Yeah, £6 entry fee. Yeah.
I'll double mine.
Yeah, so I think we're doing that end of July. Is that the day?
End of July, yeah. 28th, I think.
Yeah, because I'm doing the Crohn's and Colitis walk in June, and I didn't get barred from signing up for the 10K this year, so I'm going to make Ben walk it. All of it.
Get him to get a piggyback.
Well,
You know what?
Stephen's
The
the only
amount of weights
person that's
he's
done the
doing.
Yorkshire.
Flippers.
Stephen's the only one that has done the Yorkshire 3 before, and he's literally going to be surrounded by sick people.
Yeah.
He's the only healthy person doing it.
Sick,
Oh,
sick people. But you said he did it in how many hours?
Less than 7 or something stupid.
Okay, so that's
yeah.
our
that's my
target.
time to beat.
We've got to beat
Yeah.
less than 7. God.
I might bike it.
James, we'll be running in front of you with a fishing rod with Captain Morgan in front and just
Yeah.
Get those legs moving.
Oh, Ram.
with his glass. Right, okay, so we will be back next week. We will say good night for this evening. Topics for next week, I don't know yet. You'll find out next week.
Winging it.
Do the lakes. Winging it as per usual. It will no doubt be something stoma related, as always. And yeah, we'll be back again next week. See you next week. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, everyone. And I'll say good night. Say bye.
Bye.